Welcome to Unit 6, your first project. This is going to be a very simple unit, and the goal is just to show you how to put together a little piece of code that can actually instigate and start up a much larger program just by connecting two small little blocks. And some of the goals from this unit are just kind of get you to learn how to follow the programming instructions, how to make the program work. I want you to go through and identify and differentiate between the various sprites in the stage. You'll do those in some exploratory type activities. This is a large program, and it's good to go out there and start picking through it, okay? You'll put the game together and it'll work, and then you go through and look at all the different pieces and actually go out there and maybe change some stuff and see what happens. Just if you break it, it doesn't matter. You can just go to the website and download another copy of it, okay? So it's no biggie. So make sure you experiment. You can add and delete costumes and backdrops. I think I mentioned that right. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And also, whenever you do this, in the instructions we talk about creating a backup file. And that's something you should do no matter what. Whenever you have a part of your program at a particular milestone, or it's working and you want to experiment, make a backup copy. So any changes you happen to put into the program, you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you decide you don't want those changes or it totally messes everything up. Then you got to go back and try to figure out what it is that you've done or how to fix the mistake. It can save you a significant amount of time. Okay, I didn't mention. So the game that you're going to be putting together is called Ufo Invasion. I got the idea from asteroids and decided to make it helicopters shooting aliens and some other stuff. And I made all the music with a software called Button Bass. I'm not sure if it's even in existence anymore. I made this probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So some of the stuff might be outdated with the software I used. But nonetheless, just all the images, I kind of got the ideas from different places on the internet with other sprites and kind of changed them up to meet our needs. Some of the artwork that looks horrible is actually stuff that I had made myself. The fonts and the graphics I use for all the stuff on the buttons, I got those from PowerPoint. So I would just create it all in PowerPoint and export it out as a JPEG or PNG file out of PowerPoint and just clean it up in the Microsoft Paint editor. So nothing really fancy. You can use a lot of software already on your computer to make something kind of, workable here. And the background images I got from Google Earth, which you'll notice it mentions that I use Google Earth for those background images. I could have done something else, but I figured it looked kind of cool as if looking down from a high perspective from a satellite or something. Again, I wasn't trying to make a commercial product here. I was just making a demonstration of using some more advanced techniques. And I'll get into all that here in a second. Okay, so backup file. Whenever you create your program, make sure that you create a backup file of it. Download the file, immediately go ahead and save it to another location. So that way you can go back through and have a central location that has all of the main parts of the program before you go and change those. In the instructions, what you're going to do is you're going to program a small function on the stage. I think it's like 2 blocks. It's not very many. You're just going to basically click them together. One of them is a broadcast block. So what it'll do, it will send a message out to other functions that will get all of those started up. It's almost like the ignition. You're putting the key together to get the ignition to start. And one thing you need to do also is when you follow these instructions, you should have seen this by now, you got to read all the notes with the instructions. That goes whether you learn how to program in Scratch and any other type of programming language. If you don't go through and read and listen to the videos and read the notes, okay, you won't get a full comprehension as to what's taking place. So you got to be able to know how to read and to know how to listen to instructions such as this. Just listen to the video, you're getting a different type of information that's not even included in the text, okay? So pause the video, read the instructions, make sure you understand what's going on. Okay, all right, so the game goal, it's not really super important, but some people just need to know that you do need to have a goal for your game. If somebody's going to play a game that you make, my game goal is that you fly the helicopter around and you shoot the UFOs, okay? And as you destroy the UFOs, what it does is it breaks up into smaller little items until it finally gets to a point where it can no longer break up and you have officially beated the kind of chain of the UFOs. breaking apart. Then there will be a boss battle where I have it set on a timer based upon the level switching, where the boss will periodically show up and then you have to shoot it. I don't show a health bar or any sort of health counter, but there is health associated with the boss battle. I just didn't put it because I know some games, you know, not putting it out there kind of adds a little bit of mystery of like, when am I going to beat this character? So that was my mentality of having that, of just not including it. If I wanted to add it, all I had to do was go and get the variable and tell it to show the variable, and I could have made a button and throw it up on the screen. And then also, as you move through the levels, the UFOs are just going to keep increasing in speed until they get faster and faster and faster and faster. And there will be power-up items for the player to pick up. Oh yeah, pickup items. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so yeah, there'll be pickup items. There's a lot of different pickup items. Whenever you start playing the game, they randomly show up and they randomly get selected on which one will appear on the screen. So you never know what's going to show up. Some of them increase the speed, and you might have a situation where you get speed over and over and over again. It's just random probability, so there's no really for sure way that you can guess which one's going to happen next. And if you go through the instructions, you'll notice I got different, a little legend that tells you what the different pickup items do. Let's see, the title screen. The title screen, this is kind of, I don't know, I was kind of proud of myself. If you can say I was impressed with anything I did. But putting this title screen together, one of the things I did was that I made it set up where you can play as one player. You can have two-player co-op. That means you two would both play against the aliens. And if you say player 1 and player 2 shoot each other, it doesn't matter. That means your bullets won't hurt each other. Then I also set up with a two-player game, and it's two-player competitive where you're shooting the aliens and you can shoot each other. Okay, so it adds a little bit of a complexity to your friendship with another helicopter during the UFO invasion. And then there's an instructions button down below, which gives you the instructions. And once you get ready to go, you want to find the file that says UFO Invasion. Just so you know, the file name I have on the video, whenever I show it, it's going to be a little bit different. Don't worry about that. That's just because I'm working from a project file. That's something I've been putting together and organizing. Normally I'd have a list of all the sprites and the stage on the screen, but the only thing I listed here was the stage, and that's because all we're working with in this project is just the stage, and I didn't want to give all the sprites just because it would have really put a tremendous amount of information on the screen. I went ahead and switched over to Scratch so we can look at the program here. Okay, so this is Scratch, as you should know by now, and we have our stage. We got 20 backdrops. Then we have all of our sprites here, and you can see there's quite a few sprites on this particular program, and I'll briefly walk you through it so you can see it all. Just give you some FYIs on what I've done. Okay, so when you start the game up, I'm going to turn the volume off on my computer. Hopefully it's still recording the sound from the microphone. So you can choose one player, co-op, two-player, instructions, and I'm just going to choose one player. And then once the game starts, you notice the player's flashing at the beginning. What I did was I set the ghost to go to 0 and I think 100 or something over and over again for like a particular amount in a loop, so that what causes it to flash. And also I set it where the player can't get hurt during that particular point in time whenever it's flashing, so there's a moment of invincibility taking place. Then the bullets fire at the aliens. You can see that they're not moving around very much. Level 2 right here, I guess you can see, boom, I just got myself an extra life. Now I also set it up where you can fly through the different parts of the stage. So if you go on one section of the stage over here and we cross this particular edge, it's going to automatically set the helicopter to the opposite x-axis but at the same y position. And if I come up through the top here, it's going to set me to a different, whoops, boop, oh yeah, new tricks. It's going to set my y to the opposite side and keep my x on a consistent basis, so it's moving right through. And it flows pretty well. Whoops, ouch. Okay, so you can see right there I just blew up. Oh, I forgot, I put this little hello marker on there just so I can keep track of the program. I didn't mean to keep that in there. It's not going to say hello in your version. And I was doing that because I was experimenting with trying to identify an particular piece of code that I was trying to improve and make it more efficient for the instructions, because when I put it together I just made it as simple as possible, and the code got kind of large, so I was trying to consolidate a lot of the functions. And that's also something to note too. So if I go into my code, I can go in here and find out where I put the hello script, and I can remove it. Oh, right there it is. See, I don't need that. Just delete it. Now you don't need to worry about that. Yours won't have all this stuff. But you can see from the player ship, we've got quite a bit of functions inside here. And I'll zoom out so you can see them all. Okay, that's just the player script. These are all the scripts for the player, and you don't have to do any of these. Okay, the way we set it up is that you can just put together the code and make it happen. Let's see what else. One thing I did with the propellers on the helicopter, you'll notice when the helicopter's flying around, the propellers spin. That's actually two separate sprites. So I have the helicopter ship right here, and then down below I have the propeller operating as a blade on its own and moving around, and that gives it a little bit more fluidity as it's going across the screen, and just makes it look a little bit nicer as it goes back and forth. And I did the same thing with the second player. Whenever the player hits an enemy and blows up, there'll be a separate set of sprites that actually cause the explosion to appear on the screen. I try to use a lot of object-oriented programming because I wanted to see the students to that, hey, you can go through this program and break it up into multiple objects that interact as one piece and almost appear to be as if they're one piece, as opposed to just having one large script for one sprite. Okay, and you can see right here that I have all the different aliens and how they all link to each other. I used a kind of like a code where EN1 branches out to EN1A, B, and C. Okay, so these are the second level. Then I have EN1AA, AB, BA, BB, CA, and CB. Okay, so these 6 little monster aliens branch off of these 3 right here. So EN, short for enemy, 1B, when it blows up, it's going to reproduce the sprites or broadcast out to these sprites that create themselves, enemy 1BA and enemy 1BB. Okay, that's just what's going on with all these different items. You can go through and tell that those are bullets, and there's the big boss and some other stuff, and then the level 1 appears. But go through and check all that stuff out and just get an idea for how the program works. Just play around with it, experiment with stuff, come into particular sprites, and try changing things up. Maybe you can figure it out. And also, I got it set where it automatically restarts. Okay, so that's enough about the game. Let's go back to the instructions. Now that we're back into our instructions, I'm going to the little green circle here to start the programming for the UFO Invasion. Okay, so right here I just got a screenshot of the Scratch, and it's telling you to go over here and click on the stage, and we'll go do that next. I'm going to go to the next step because I think most of you can probably figure that out while I'm on the video. So what you want to do is you want to find this function, and what you're going to do is we want to have this function created with a message called intro to start the game. So when you come back into your program, you go to stage, find stage, and then up here, this is all you got to do. Plug the block together, which will look just like your instructions. If you have those up, click on the green flag, and everything works. Okay. Now you'll probably notice you're thinking, hey, you know what? This looks a little suspicious. There's just one little block here on the stage, and you're right. If you scroll over, you'll notice that I took all the other functions and I just piled them up on the side. I put them out of sight, not because I'm trying to hide something from you, because I didn't want to distract you. But you can see if I wanted to hide it from you, I wouldn't put it here on the video. What I'm trying for you to do is just understand that that's all you had to program. If I had everything, say right here, and then told you to program it, it'd be easy to get distracted from all the other functions. And that's a little feature in Scratch too. If you right click and choose cleanup, it'll take all your functions and organize them for you so you can get some sort of consistency on where everything's located. And if you have a bunch of empty blocks, it's a good idea to just go ahead and put those away. Kind of like if you're told to clean your bedroom and pick all your toys up off the floor, or get all your whatever it is you got all over the house, you know, that's the same thing with Scratch. If you leave blocks all over the place on your programming script area here, it's going to make a mess, and it's going to get confusing, and you don't want to do that. Okay, organization is the key to success when it comes to programming, or one of the keys. Okay, so that's all you got to do here for the UFO invasion. Now let's go back to our instructions and wrap this up. So we see here the stage complete. That was all you had to work. Just wanted you to get used to seeing the screen for the instructions. Also, notice down here I have the icon of what you're working on. Then it tells us we're done with that particular programming practice, and there you have it. So that's all you need to do for UFO invasion. Make sure you go through all the exploratory activities and extensions so you get an opportunity to kind of build your background knowledge, because we're going to go through some introductory lessons, but as we progress through the material, it's going to get significantly more difficult.